Well, I really didn't do anything except the award.
I know, but I can understand, Jim, the girls being in this costume design.
Hollywood's golden age wasn't just about glamour, it was full of scandal too. Today, we're diving into 12 of the most infamous nymphomaniacs of the era. From wild childhoods to soaring fame, jaw-dropping scandals, and personal drama, these stars lived lives even messier than their movies. Who thrived, who fell apart, and who shocked the world? Let's find out. Joan Crawford. All right, let's dive into the fascinating, chaotic, and utterly legendary life of Joan Crawford.
But I do know that we can work things out. I'll do anything you say, David, just as long as we're together. That's all.
Her story is a roller coaster from start to finish. Born Lucille Fay Lesueur in 1904, or was it 1905? Joan was famously cagey about her age. Her early years were anything but glamorous. She grew up in poverty, bouncing between small towns as her family struggled to stay afloat. Her father left when she was a baby, and her mother's second marriage didn't exactly bring stability. Young Lucille learned early on how to fend for herself. But here's where it gets interesting. Joan wasn't just determined to survive, she was determined to thrive. She caught the attention of Hollywood during the silent film era, thanks to her striking looks and unshakable ambition. MGM saw potential, but not in the name Lucille Lesueur. A fan contest renamed her Joan Crawford, and just like that, a star was born. Fast forward to the 1930s, and Joan was a certified Hollywood queen. She starred in hit after hit, including Grand Hotel and Rain. By the 1940s, she proved her staying power with Mildred Pierce, winning her first and only Oscar. But Joan didn't just dominate the screen, she owned her image. She was known for her meticulous attention to detail, both in her performances and in how she presented herself to the public. Now let's talk about her very colorful personal life. Bette Davis famously said Joan slept with every male star at MGM except Lassie, and honestly, it's hard to argue with that shade. Joan had 4 husbands, including Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Alfred Steele, the Pepsi executive, plus countless rumored affairs. But her one true love? Clark Gable. Their decades-long affair, despite Gable being married, was the stuff of Hollywood legend. Joan described their chemistry as so electrifying I nearly fell to my knees. But while Joan loved passionately, her relationships often ended in heartbreak. Her children, adopted during her marriage to Steele, later painted a complicated, sometimes dark picture of their family life in the infamous memoir, Mommy Dearest. In her later years, Joan struggled to keep her star shining as Hollywood evolved. But even after her last film, Joan remained a fixture in the public eye, whether through her charity work or her legendary feuds. Joan Crawford's life was a mix of glamour, grit, and unrelenting determination. She wasn't just a star, she was a force of nature who left an indelible mark on Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe. All right, let's dive into Marilyn Monroe, the ultimate Hollywood icon and, let's face it, one of the most infamous nymphomaniacs of her era.
I can hear the river call.
Behind the glamour, the diamonds, and the dazzling smile was a woman whose relationships and sexual escapades became almost as legendary as her movies. Marilyn had 3 official marriages, but her love life didn't stop there. She was rumored to have had affairs with countless men in Hollywood and beyond, including some of the most powerful and influential figures of the time. Think Frank Sinatra, Marlon Brando, and of course the most whispered about, President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert. That's right, the Monroe-Kennedy triangle is one of Hollywood's biggest scandals. Whether it's all true or not, the whispers of secret rendezvous and forbidden passion have kept conspiracy theorists busy for decades. But Marilyn's desire for love and validation wasn't just about lust. It seemed to stem from her deeply troubled childhood. She grew up in foster homes, with no stable parental figure to guide her. This likely left her craving attention and affection, and Hollywood was happy to indulge. She became the embodiment of sex appeal, and while that made her a superstar, it also turned her personal life into a circus. She openly admitted her love for intimacy and once famously said, "Sex is a part of nature. I go along with nature." And boy did she. Marilyn was unapologetic about her sexuality, which both fascinated and scandalized the conservative era she lived in. She wasn't just playing the part of a sex symbol on screen. Off-screen, she fully embraced it. Her turbulent relationships with her husbands, like her tempestuous romance with Joe DiMaggio, who couldn't handle her sensual image, or her intellectual connection with Arthur Miller, were often overshadowed by rumors of infidelity and affairs. Despite her marriages, Marilyn seemed to live a life of constant longing, always searching for the love and stability she never had. But let's not forget her professional life also suffered because of her reputation. Studios exploited her image as a sex goddess, while critics often overlooked her talent. Marilyn wasn't just a blonde bombshell, she was a woman navigating an industry that pigeonholed her. She fought hard to prove she was more than just a pretty face, but the constant battles took their toll. Her tragic death in 1962 at the age of 36 only cemented her place as one of Hollywood's most enduring and heartbreaking figures. Hedy Lamarr. Now let's talk about Hedy Lamarr, a woman who was both a stunning Hollywood siren and a secret genius. But when it comes to her personal life? Oh boy, buckle up, because it was as scandalous as it was fascinating. Hedy was called the most beautiful woman in the world, and she used that beauty to climb the ladder of fame. But her reputation wasn't just about her acting chops. Her whirlwind romances and sexual escapades kept her name on everyone's lips. With 6 marriages and countless rumored lovers, Hedy lived life on her terms, unapologetically exploring her sexuality in an era when women were expected to play it coy. Her first marriage in 1933 to Fritz Mandl, an Austrian arms dealer and staunch fascist sympathizer, marked a pivotal moment. Lamarr converted to Christianity to marry Mandl, whose own heritage was a complicated blend of Jewish ancestry on his father's side and Catholic upbringing under his mother's influence. Mandl, described as controlling and abusive, treated Hedy more like a possession than a partner. He reportedly forbade her from acting and subjected her to stifling restrictions. Her Hollywood career took off thanks to her seductive roles, but her reputation was sealed much earlier in her life. At just 18, she starred in the controversial film Ecstasy, 1933, where she not only appeared nude, but also performed what was considered one of the first simulated orgasms in cinema. That scene shocked the world and forever cemented her image as a provocative, boundary-pushing figure. Behind the scenes, Hedy had a string of lovers, some high profile, others less so. She was linked to men like Howard Hughes, whose innovative mind matched her own, and she wasn't shy about her open disdain for traditional marriage. She once quipped, "Any girl can be glamorous, all you have to do is stand still and look stupid." But Hedy was far from stupid. Here's the twist. While Hollywood saw her as just a sex symbol, Hedy had a secret life as an inventor. Yep, the same woman who dazzled audiences on screen co-patented a frequency-hopping technology during World War II, which later became the foundation for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Let that sink in. But her genius didn't save her personal life from chaos. Hedy's relationships often burned bright and fast, with allegations of infidelity, lavish spending, and fiery arguments marking many of her marriages. Despite her beauty and intellect, she struggled to find lasting happiness, often lamenting that people only saw her for her looks. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, one of the most iconic stars of Hollywood's golden age, lived a life as dramatic and extravagant as the characters she portrayed on screen.
Do something, then I'll try and do it. If I have hurt anyone in my lifetime, I would change that.
Known for her striking beauty, legendary violet eyes, and tempestuous love life, Taylor was the ultimate symbol of old Hollywood glamour and scandal. Her career, marked by standout performances in films like A Place in the Sun and Cleopatra, cemented her as one of the greatest stars of all time. Yet, it was her tumultuous love life that often eclipsed her cinematic achievements. Taylor was married 8 times to 7 men, starting with hotel heir Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr. at just 18. This pattern of passionate but ultimately short-lived unions defined her personal narrative. Her third husband, producer Mike Todd, tragically died in a plane crash, leading to a scandalous affair and eventual marriage with Eddie Fisher, whom she infamously stole from Debbie Reynolds. Taylor's fiery romance with Richard Burton, her 5th and 6th husband, was perhaps her most infamous. Their on-set affair during Cleopatra sparked global media frenzy, drawing condemnation from the Vatican and earning her a reputation as Hollywood's ultimate romantic. Despite their magnetic chemistry, their relationship was plagued by infidelity and addiction, leading to 2 marriages and 2 divorces. Later in life, Taylor's romantic choices reflected her search for stability. She wed construction worker Larry Fortensky after meeting him in rehab, a union that showed her willingness to defy societal expectations. Unlike her earlier relationships, Taylor maintained a lifelong friendship with Fortensky after their divorce. Through all the highs and lows, Elizabeth Taylor remained unapologetically herself, passionate, bold, and larger than life. She also left a lasting legacy beyond the screen, advocating for AIDS awareness and becoming a successful entrepreneur. Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just a star. She was a phenomenon whose life, both on and off the screen, continues to captivate and inspire. Lana Turner. Ah, Lana Turner, a name synonymous with the golden age of Hollywood glamour and scandal.
Well, I really didn't do anything except the award.
I know, but I can understand, Jim, the girls being in this costume design.
Known as one of MGM's brightest stars, Turner captivated audiences with her beauty and talent, but her off-screen life often rivaled the drama of her most iconic roles. Born in 1921, Lana rose to fame after being discovered at a soda fountain. Yes, the famous Hollywood dream story. Her breakthrough role came in They Won't Forget, 1937, and she quickly became the quintessential femme fatale in films like The Postman Always Rings Twice. Her sultry presence on screen made her one of the most sought-after actresses of her time. Lana's early years were marked by hardship and instability. Her father, John Turner, was a miner with a penchant for gambling, while her mother, Mildred, worked tirelessly to provide for the family. Tragedy struck early in Lana's life. When she was just 9 years old, her father was murdered during a robbery after winning a significant amount of money in a card game. The loss devastated the family and left her mother struggling to make ends meet. Seeking a fresh start, Mildred relocated the family to California, settling in San Francisco and later Los Angeles. Lana's upbringing during the Great Depression was far from easy. Her mother worked long hours as a beautician, leaving Lana to fend for herself much of the time. Despite the challenges, young Lana exhibited a natural resilience and charm that would later define her career. Her discovery at 16 is the stuff of Hollywood legend. While skipping class one day, Lana was spotted sipping a soda at a local cafe by William R. Wilkerson, the publisher of The Hollywood Reporter. Struck by her stunning looks, he referred her to a talent agent, and soon after, she landed her first role in They Won't Forget. The rest, as they say, is history. Turner's romantic life was as complicated as it was headline-grabbing. She married 7 times, with each relationship marked by a mix of glamour and turmoil. Her husbands included bandleader Artie Shaw, restaurateur Bob Topping, and actor Lex Barker, among others. But it wasn't just her marriages that raised eyebrows. Her roster of alleged lovers reads like a who's who of Golden Age Hollywood: Clark Gable, Tyrone Power, Howard Hughes, and even Frank Sinatra. Her love life was fueled by a relentless pursuit of passion, but it often came at a price. One of her most notorious relationships was with mobster Johnny Stompanato, a romance that started with fiery passion but descended into physical abuse and public scandal. Stompanato was famously killed in 1958 by Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, who stabbed him in what was ruled justifiable homicide. The trial and its sensational details rocked Hollywood and forever tied Turner's name to one of the era's most shocking events. Beyond the Stompanato affair, Lana was known for her whirlwind romances and inability to stay single for long. She was said to be addicted to love and the thrill of new relationships, often jumping into one affair after another with little hesitation. Despite her many attempts at matrimony, none of her marriages lasted more than 4 years, with her final marriage ending in 1972. Turner's insatiable appetite for romance, coupled with her undeniable beauty and charisma, made her a quintessential symbol of Hollywood excess. She lived unapologetically, embodying the glamour, scandal, and unrestrained desire that defined the golden age of cinema. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner was the epitome of Hollywood allure, strikingly beautiful, fiercely independent, and utterly intoxicating.
Oh, hi. How do you do? My name is Mrs. Nordley. I'm Kelly, Eloise.
But beneath the glamour, her reputation as one of the most insatiable romantics in Golden Age Hollywood cemented her legacy as one of cinema's most notorious nymphomaniacs. Gardner's love life was as dramatic as any of the films she starred in, with tales of passion, heartbreak, and scandal that continue to fascinate. Married 3 times, Ava's husbands were some of the most famous men of the era. Her first marriage to Mickey Rooney was short-lived, lasting only a year due to Rooney's infamous womanizing. Her second husband, bandleader Artie Shaw, proved to be controlling and condescending, leading to yet another divorce. But it was her third marriage, to the legendary Frank Sinatra, that truly captivated the public. Their union was a tempestuous blend of passion and jealousy, with Gardner famously remarking, "We were great in bed. It was the rest of the time that we had problems." Sinatra wasn't her only high-profile affair. Gardner was linked to a string of famous men, including billionaire Howard Hughes, bullfighter Luis Miguel Dominguín, and even John F. Kennedy. She reportedly once said, "I like the company of men. They're easier to get along with than women." Her unapologetic approach to relationships and her refusal to conform to societal expectations made her both scandalous and empowering. Gardner was also candid about her insatiable appetite for life's pleasures, admitting to indulging in booze, cigarettes, and love affairs with equal fervor. Despite her wild reputation, she carried a profound loneliness, often yearning for the stability she could never quite grasp. Her fiery personality and unapologetic lifestyle solidified her as a Hollywood legend. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead, the original Hollywood bad girl.
You. As a matter of fact, I haven't. Do you happen to have the time?
No, I'm sorry, but I could...
Known for her smoky voice, razor-sharp wit, and a lifestyle that broke every rule in the book, she was the embodiment of rebellion during Hollywood's golden age. Born on January 31, 1902, in Huntsville, Alabama, she was the daughter of William Brockman Bankhead, a prominent politician who would later serve as Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. Her family was part of Alabama's elite, deeply rooted in politics and power, but Tallulah's early years were marked by tragedy and a yearning for attention. Her mother, Adelaide Eugenia Bankhead, died of blood poisoning just 3 weeks after Tallulah's birth. This loss profoundly impacted her childhood, leaving a void that may have fueled her later need for the limelight. Tallulah and her older sister Eugenia were raised primarily by their paternal grandmother, as their father was often consumed with his political career. Tallulah was anything but a demure Southern belle. Even as a child, she had a flair for drama and rebellion. She would throw tantrums, refuse to follow rules, and demand to be the center of attention. At a young age, she was sent to Catholic boarding schools, where she reportedly charmed the nuns and classmates alike, but her antics often got her into trouble. Her discovery of acting came early, and it quickly became her passion. She was inspired by the performances she saw in silent films and live theater, and by her teenage years, she was determined to make a name for herself. At 15, she entered a magazine beauty contest, winning a trip to New York City. This trip was pivotal. It introduced her to Broadway and solidified her desire to pursue acting. She eventually transitioned to Hollywood with roles in films like Lifeboat, 1944, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. But let's not sugarcoat it. Tallulah's personal life was every bit as outrageous as her on-screen presence. A proud bisexual at a time when such openness was taboo, she was linked to lovers of both sexes, including actresses like Greta Garbo and Hattie McDaniel, as well as various playwrights, directors, and socialites. By her own candid admission, she claimed to have slept with over 500 people in her lifetime, a declaration that shocked and fascinated the public. She famously quipped, "My father warned me about men and alcohol, but he never mentioned women and cocaine." And oh, the cocaine. Tallulah lived for excess, whether it was chain-smoking up to 120 cigarettes a day, indulging in late-night parties, or shocking her peers with her unfiltered commentary. She was a notorious flirt and loved making headlines, often with quotes so wild they'd make today's tabloids blush. Professionally, her career had its ups and downs. While she was celebrated on stage, Hollywood didn't always know what to do with her larger-than-life personality. Her transition to Hollywood was less consistent. Despite her undeniable talent, Bankhead often clashed with studio executives due to her bold, outspoken nature and refusal to conform to the industry's strict image standards. Additionally, her refusal to play the Hollywood game alienated key industry players, limiting her opportunities in film. As she aged, roles became harder to come by, and she returned to the stage, where her larger-than-life persona was always better suited. Vivien Leigh. Our next story shines a spotlight on Vivien Leigh, the celebrated actress who immortalized Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind.
differences of background and temperament between Chinese and Japanese, which are tremendously...
A two-time Academy Award winner, Leigh dazzled audiences with her beauty and talent. Yet behind the camera, her personal life simmered with intensity and controversy. During the filming of Gone with the Wind, Leigh and co-star Clark Gable reportedly shared an electrifying dynamic, both on and off screen. Years later, Leigh revealed at a private gathering that Gable, known for his rakish charm, had once crossed a line during an unscripted moment, leaving a shadow over their working relationship. Though she never elaborated publicly, this rare admission hinted at the darker undercurrents of Hollywood's golden age. Leigh's private life was as dramatic as her roles, marked by her passionate nature and struggles with mental health. Known for her manic depression, Leigh's condition often manifested in erratic behavior, compulsive desires, and turbulent relationships. Those close to her described her as having unusually large appetites, both for life and love. Her marriage to Laurence Olivier was famously intense, with their breaks from work often turning into what biographers termed carnal marathons. Olivier himself admitted that her insatiable drive was exhilarating but exhausting. Their passion eventually gave way to scandal, as Leigh's affair with actor Peter Finch shocked even seasoned Hollywood insiders. As her mental health deteriorated, Leigh's compulsions became more pronounced. Friends whispered about her disappearing for hours and returning with no explanation, while close confidants, including Noel Coward, expressed concern over her increasingly erratic behavior. Leigh was institutionalized multiple times, enduring electroshock therapy that left lasting scars. Despite her struggles, her talent never dimmed, though her personal demons took a toll on her career and relationships. After her divorce from Olivier, Leigh spent her later years battling tuberculosis and depression, finding solace in the companionship of Jack Merivale. She passed away in 1967 at just 53, leaving behind a legacy of breathtaking talent, untamed passion, and profound tragedy. Veronica Lake. Next up is Veronica Lake, the sultry blonde bombshell whose iconic peekaboo hairstyle and captivating performances lit up the screen during the 1940s.
What he got, Sears and Roebuck suit, the sleeves came up to about here.
Known for her roles in classics like Sullivan's Travels and This Gun for Hire, Lake was a symbol of old Hollywood glamour, but behind her mysterious allure lay a life filled with heartbreak, scandal, and a series of personal struggles that often mirrored the femme fatales she portrayed on screen. In her autobiography, Lake presents her childhood with a surprising lack of sentimentality, giving little attention to the trauma of her father's death in a shipboard explosion when she was just 12 years old. She adopted a tough persona, describing herself as a tomboy who developed a reputation as the toughest broad on the block, a persona she seemed to carry with her into adulthood. Lake attended a Catholic boarding school in Montreal, where she was known as the class kook and often got into trouble. Despite her rebellious nature, she did find solace in the kindness of the Mother Superior, who was able to see through Lake's tough exterior. This connection is one of the few positive childhood memories she shared. Lake's mother, however, saw her daughter's problems in a more serious light, claiming that Veronica had been diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 15. Nevertheless, her mother pushed her towards a Hollywood career after a judge in the Miss Miami contest saw potential in Lake and told her she had the makings of a star. Veronica Lake's rise to fame was fueled not only by her petite beauty, but by her distinctive on-screen persona of cool detachment, which made her an ideal femme fatale in the era of film noir. Her trademark cascade of blonde hair, often covering one eye, became an iconic symbol of her allure, inspiring later characters such as Jessica Rabbit in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Lake's combination of beauty and magnetic presence turned her into a true Hollywood icon, and her success seemed assured. Her name, Veronica, even carried the suggestion of an enigmatic and mythical persona, perfectly suited to the role she played on screen. Lake's personal life was equally tumultuous. She married 4 times, with each union marked by drama and heartbreak. Her marriages were plagued by infidelity, financial woes, and her worsening alcoholism. Perhaps most tragically, her struggles with mental health and substance abuse alienated her from her children, leaving her isolated in her later years. Despite her early stardom, Lake's career faltered dramatically by the 1950s. She retreated from Hollywood and was rediscovered in the 1960s, working as a waitress in a New York bar. Her brief attempt at a comeback with the film Footsteps in the Snow failed to make an impact, and her career never regained its former glory. Tragically, Lake passed away in 1973. Her story is a familiar one of fame's fleeting nature. Behind her stunning screen image lay personal struggles, including alcoholism, drug abuse, mental illness, and a series of failed marriages. Her career was marred by difficult behavior on set, and her iconic screen persona seemed to be a facade, often maintained through substance abuse. In her own words, she described herself as a sex zombie, reflecting the detached, almost otherworldly quality she projected, an effect created by her reliance on drugs. Lake's tragic downfall is a haunting reminder of the toll that fame, addiction, and personal turmoil can take. Yet, her legacy endures through her films, which continue to showcase her undeniable talent. Despite the pain she endured, she left behind an indelible mark on cinema, and her work remains a timeless part of Hollywood history. And that's it for today's video, folks. A peek into the glamorous yet often messy lives of Hollywood's most scandalous stars from the Golden Age. What did you think? Did any of these stories surprise you? Who do you think was the most shocking? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a video on Hollywood's wildest stories.